Yes, good morning, students. So, today we are going to start with a continuation of the previous chapter, that is the leadership. So, in the previous class, we have studied about what you mean by the leadership, that is the different definitions we have been seen it in the previous class. Then you also studied about the ingredients of a leadership, that is the ability to use power, and the next one is that we have studied about ability to understand the people, ability to inspire, ability to act. These are all the ingredients of the leadership. The next one we also studied about the trait approaches to the leadership and leadership behaviors and style. So in the leadership behavior and the style already we have completed about that is leadership based on the use of authority. Okay, so where you have been studied about three different the types of the leaders. One is autocratic leader or a democratic or a participative leader, and third one is the free reign leader. The next one you also studied about the Lakers four system of management. Okay, system one, system two, system three, and system four. Okay, how they are going to the communicate here. What is the hierarchy they are going to follow to communicate in the top most to the lower most or lower hierarchy employees who are working over there. Okay, all these things we have been seen in the four different types of the system, and which one is the best affordable. That is the system four is. As per the conclusion, as we have said it over there, system 4 is the best one. Okay, the next one here we are going to see today we are going to see about the managerial grit. So this is another one approach here which is used to defining a leadership style. Okay, what type of a leadership should be. Okay, so this is another one the method. So this is a well-known approach to defining a leadership style is the managerial grid, developed some years ago by Robert Blake and Jan Mountain. This grid has been used throughout the world as a means of training the managers and of identifying the various combinations of leadership styles. Now we are going to see about that this grid is having two dimensions. One is concerned two dimensions here. One is a concern for a people, and another one is a concern for a production. Okay, so this grid is having a two dimensions. One is a concern for a people, and another one is a concern for the production. Okay, so here it is that the meaning, the praise, what you mean by the concern for. Okay, so that is it is meant to convey that how the managers are going to be concerned about the production, or how the managers are going to concerned about the people, whether they are more concerned about the production of the task, whether they are more concerned about the to maintain a relationship about the people. Okay, this is the praise, that is the concern for, that is how managers are concerned about the production and how managers are concerned about the people. So if you wanted to see that is the first one, that is a concern for a production. Okay, so concern for the production here includes the attitudes of a supervisor towards a wide variety of things. So here it is that they are going to concentrate more on the quality of policy decisions here, procedures, and the processes, creativeness of research. Okay, quality of staff services, they are concentrating more on the quality of staff services. Okay, they are concentrating more on the people work efficiency, what is the volume of the output. Okay, so if a manager is more concerned about the production, so his attitude is towards checking the staff services, what is the output, volume of the output, what is the efficiency, what is there any creativity in the research or not. So on these side he is going to give more concentration. Is it clear? So that is a manager is concerned for more on the production side. Okay, if a manager is concerned for a pupil, that is it includes the elements, some of the elements, say for example, that is you wanted to maintain a relationship with the people, maintenance of the self esteem of the workers. Okay, placement of a responsibility on the base of the trust, how he is going to assign the responsibility here based on the basis of the trust here. Okay, so a provision of a good working conditions, he is going to provide a very good working conditions for the people. Okay, maintenance and satisfying of a interpersonal relations. So if a manager is going to be more concerned with the people, so these are all the attitudes of that a particular manager. So creating a very good environment for the people, help them maintenance of a self-esteem of the workers, okay, and assigning the responsibility based on the trust here, providing a very good working conditions and maintenance of a satisfying interpersonal relationships here, okay. Now here you are going to see in this particular the managerial grid, okay, in this diagram, in this particular the grid you are going to see this is the excess concern for production and there is the sort of people, okay. So the four extreme styles in this grid here they have been identified, in this grid they have been identified, four extreme styles are there, okay. So what are these four extreme styles? The four extreme styles are 1.1 style, 1.9 style, 9.1 style, 9.9 style. Okay, you just see it here. So here it is a 1.1 style and 9.9, and here it is a 9.1 style and 9.9. So what is this 1.1 style? So here in the 1.1 style, what happens here is that the managers concern themselves very little either with the people or with the production. Is it clear? He is going to be very little or no concern with the themselves, with a very little with either the people or with the production. Okay, so minimum involvement is there here. Okay, the manager involvement is minimum and concern for a very little concern with the people or with the production, okay. So the next one here it is that the 9.9 style. So in this here the managers who display in their actions, that is 9.9, you just see it here, there is in the corner in this side 9.9. So here the managers are more dedicated one, okay, they are more concerned with the people and they are more concerned with the production also. Is it clear? So they are having a more concerned with people also and they are having a more concerned with the production also. Is it clear? So they are the real team managers who are able to mesh the production needs of the enterprises with the needs of the individuals also. Okay, they are going to manage both the concerned mesh with the production needs of the enterprises as well as what are the needs of the individuals also, that is concerned with the people also. This is a 9.9. So this type of the managerial style we are going to be call it as a, this is a they are the real team managers. Now the next one you come to this, that there is a 1.9 style. So managers having a little or no concern for the production. So only managers is concerned more with the pupil here. Is it clear? So they promote an environment in which everyone is relaxed, everyone is friendly, every employee is happy. Is it clear? No one is concerned about putting forth the coordinated effort to accomplish the enterprise goal. Is it clear? So this is totally the type of the environment where it is a totally relaxed one, because manager is concerned more on the people side, okay, very less or little on the production side. The next one here it is a 9.1. This is another one style of the manager here. So the managers here, these type of the managers here, we are going to refer it as an autocratic task managers. As already you know about that autocratic leaders, okay, who are concerned only with developing an efficient operation, who have a little or no concern for the people. They will not care about the people, just they are having a very little concern about the people, more they are going to be concentrating on the production side. Is it clear? So that's why they are going to say that they are going to give the commands here, they are going to give the commands to the subordinates, that subordinates co-workers to obey the command and they have to do the work, okay. So that's why here they are going to say that here this type of the managers, that is the 9.1 style, the managers who are more concerned for the production here, just a little bit concerned about a pupil, okay. So who are quite autocratic in their style of a leadership. So the, by using these four extreme points of the referencing, okay, so every managerial technique, every approach or style can be placed somewhere in the grid. in this you can place it somewhere else, but they have identified these particular only the four extreme points here. Okay, so every managerial technique or every approach or style can be placed somewhere in this particular grid. So clearly here they have done the study that, okay, if the managerial working style should be placed in a position, it will be placed in the grid that is a 5.5 style. Okay, so that is managers are having the medium equal concerned with the people, and even he is having equal concern with the production also. So that's why here they are going to say that 5.5 style will help the managers that they are having a medium concern for the production, as well as at the same time they are having a medium concern for the pupil also. Okay, so this is the conclusion here which it has been drawn. Okay, so that is a 5 point style will be the best one for the managers, where they can go for the medium concern for the production as well as for the pupil. So the next one here we are going for the another one, that is the leadership as a continuum. Okay, here we are going to see the next one, that is the leadership as a continuum. This is the another one, the method, that is adoption of a leadership styles to the different contingencies, has been well characterized by the Robert Tenenbaum and Warren. Okay, so these are the two, that is they have the developers of the leadership continuum concept. Okay, so these two people are have developed, okay, this particular concept called as a leadership continuum concept. Okay, so now as you know that, okay, so here it is. Okay, so in this this is the one, the diagram here is we are going to see about that. Okay, as shown in the figure, they see that leadership as involving a variety of styles ranging from one that is highly the boss centered to the one that is highly subordinate centered. Okay, you just see it in the diagram in this particular corner, it is a managerial power and all. So this is the upper part, the area. Okay, and this side here it is with a non-managerial power below one, that is the area of the freedom for the non-managers, and here it is the area of freedom for the managers. Okay, so here they are going to say that variety of style ranging from one that is whether this style is concerned with highly boss centered to one that is highly subordinate centered. The styles vary with the degree of freedom. Okay, the style of this one, the leadership is varying. It is depending upon the degree of the freedom. Okay, degree of the freedom a leader or the manager is going to grant to the subordinates. Okay, how much the degree of the freedom a leader or the manager is going to grant to his subordinates, based on that here you are going to determine the leadership style. Okay, so that's why here we have given, okay, you just see it here in the box, area of freedom for the manager, the dot line above that. Okay, and here it is dot line below. Okay, this is the area of freedom for the non managers. So where the non-managers are having a power to take the decisions, and where the managers are having the freedom to take the decisions and all. Okay, so this has been shown it in this particular diagram. The continuum theory recognizes that which style of leadership is appropriate, that depends upon the leader. Okay, that depends upon the follower, and it depends upon the situation. Is it clear? So he is going to say that which continuum theory recognizes that which style of the leadership is appropriate is totally depend upon the type of the leader, the type of the followers, and the situation. Okay, so the Tenenbaum and the Warren. Okay, so here the most important elements that may influence a manager style can be seen along a continuum as. So here they are going to say that the forces operating in the manager's personality. Okay, so what are the things here? The forces operating in the manager's personality, including his or her value system. Okay, what is the confidence in his subordinates, inclination towards a leadership styles, feelings of security in uncertain the situations. Okay, so this is one of the elements. So it is for the based on that the forces operating in the manager's personality, including his or her value system, what lies the level of confidence in his subordinates, inclination towards the leadership style, feelings of a security in a uncertain situations. Next one here it is the another one element here is that the, which may influence a managerial style. The second the element is that the forces in the subordinates that will affect the manager behavior. Okay, so how their subordinates are there, is it clear? So up to at what level these subordinates are having influence. Okay, so that will affect the managerial behavior, such as their willingness to assume the responsibility. Okay, their knowledge, experience, and their tolerance for ambiguity. So these are all that is the forces in the subordinates that will affect the managerial behavior. Now the third one here it is that the forces in the situation, such as the organizational values, the traditions, effectiveness of the subordinates working as a unit, what is the nature of the problem, and the feasibility of the safely delegating the authority to handle it, and the pressure of time. Is it clear? So these are the three important elements. Okay, so these three important elements are going to be influence a particular manager style. Okay, so one is the force operating in the manager's personality, and all these things already we have studied. The forces in the subordinates that will affect the manager behavior, and the forces in the situation. Okay, you just see it here. That is, if you are going to see the style of that particular manager, here it is that where area of freedom for the manager is high. So here the manager is able to make a decision which non-managers have to accept here. Is it clear? Managers must sell the decision before gaining the acceptance. If you go this above the dotted line, you just see that the area of freedom for manager here it is go on reducing, and below that you just see it here. Okay, the area of freedom for the non-managers here it goes on increasing. So managers here presents a decision but must respond to the questions from the non-managers. When you come to here in between the center, the diagram here, the line they have been drawn, come to center, managers presents a tentative decision subject to change after non-manager inputs. Okay, managers presents a problem, gets the inputs from the non-managers, then the managers are going to decide. When you come to the last, where the area of freedom for the manager will be very less, and here the more freedom will be given for the non-managers to take a decision of their own. Okay, so here the managers defines limits within which the non-managers are going to make their self decisions. Managers and non-managers jointly make a decision within the limits defined by the organizational constraints. Okay, so in this at that this end, you have seen that some of the non-managers will also get the power. Okay, so they are also having the power to make some of the decisions. Okay, so here the manager will give some of the authority. Within that limit, the non-managers are going to take the decision. So this is here what you are going to be called as a continuum of the manager and a non-manager behavior. Okay, now we are going to uh, see with the next one. Okay, so this is all these four types of this the leadership behavior and the style we have been studied. So this completes all the leadership behavior and style, that is leadership based on the use of the authority and the Likert force system of the management. Okay, next one is the managerial grid. Okay, and next one is the leadership as a continuum. The next one here we are going to study about there is another one approach to the leadership that we call it as a situational or a contingency approach to the leadership. Okay, so a large number of the studies have been made on the premises that the leadership is strongly affected by the situation, so from which the leader emerges. Is it clear? Most of the people they have done the research and they are going to say that okay, the leader who is going to be emerging, okay, the leader is strongly affected by the situation here, from which the leader emerges and in which he operates. Okay, So that is a belief, okay, or you call it as an intended or a belief, which we are going to call it as a, that is a the persuasive. Okay, what you mean by the persuasive? Persuasive is nothing but it is the intended or the belief. Okay, so that's why he is going to using the word that is a persuasive approach. The, or you call it as a intended or the belief approach is indicated by the rise of the Hitler in the Germany in the 1930, the earlier rise of Mussolini in the Italy, emergency of the Franklin in the Great Depression of the 1930s in the United States, and the rise of the Mao Tung in China in the period of the World War II. Okay, so these are all the examples of the how the leaders are going to be emerged. Okay, so these are emerged. Okay, based on the particular the situation, they are strongly affected by the situation. Okay, all these examples are that these are all the leaders which are strongly affected by the situation from which the leader emerges. The approach to the leadership recognizes that there exists an interaction between the group and the leader. Is it clear? This approach to the leadership, what they are going to say, there is an interaction between the leader and the group. Is it clear? In that the different the member, the peoples are there, so there is an interaction between the group of people and the leader. A situational or a contingency approach obviously have much meaning for managerial theory and the practices also. Okay, so here there is a one of the person called as a Fedler's. Okay, he has defined one particular approach called as a Fedler's contingency approach to the leadership style. According to this particular, the Fedler and his associates at the University of the Illinois have suggested a continuous theory of leadership. Is it clear? The theory holds that people become a leader not only because of the attributes of their personalities. The theory hold the theory it is going to be said that peoples are going to becoming a leader, but a people become leader not only because of their attributes or of their personalities, okay, but also because of the various situational factors which having an influence on them, okay, which will emerge those particular leaders, and interaction between the leaders and the group members. Is it clear? So that's why they are going to say that the people become leaders not only because of the his attributes or the personalities, but because of the various situational factors and the type of the interaction he is having with his the leaders and the group members. Okay, so the critical dimension of the leadership situation, so here they are going to say that according to the studies done by this particular the Fedler described, okay, the three critical dimensions of the leadership situations are there. Okay, according to his theory, he has described three critical dimensions of the leadership situations. So these the situations will help to determine, okay, so these situations help to determine what the style of the leadership will be most effective. Okay, now we are going to see these three critical the dimensions of the leadership situations. One is the first one is position and the power. Okay, a leader with a clear and a considerable position, and if he is having a power, can obtain a good followership more easily than one without such power. Is it clear? If a person, if he is having a both, he is having a both, that is the highest position as well as the power. Okay, so such a leader with a clear and a considerable the position power can obtain, he can get very good followers, okay, more easily than a person without having such a particular power. The second one here it is that based on the task structure. So here tasks can be clearly spelled out, okay, at the the pupil held responsible for them. Okay, what you have to do? Tasks can be clearly spelled out and pupil held responsible for them. If tasks are clear, okay, it should not be a wage. Okay, all the tasks should be clear, it should not be a wage. Okay, then the quality of the performance can be more easily controlled and the group members can be held more definitely responsible for the performance. So this is the situation here. So this is which is related to the task structure. Okay, so here the task should be clear and the quality of the performance can be more easily controlled in this, depending upon that the group members can be held more responsible for the performance. The third one, the situation is totally related to the relations here, that is the leader and the member relations. From the leader's point of view, since the position, power and the task structure you have, okay, may be largely under the control of an enterprises. Okay, what they are going to say that you should have a position, you should have a power, and even you should have a task structure, how the task should be accomplished, how you are going to define, how you are going to assign responsibilities to the particular people, how you are going to measure the performance. Okay, so everything you are having a very well defined task structure. Along with that, okay, it should be under the control of an enterprise. Okay, so it has to do with the extent to which the group members they like and trust a leader or willing to follow that particular the leader. Okay, so if you are going to do this, then definitely what happens here, a very good relationship is going to be maintained with the leader and the members are going to follow the leaders here. Okay, so when the group members are going to like the leader, they can trust the leader, and the group members are willing to follow that particular the leader. Okay, so now Fiedler set four two major styles of the leadership here. One of these is a there is a one is a primarily a task oriented. Okay, that is the leader gains satisfaction from seeing the task performed by the pupil, by the subordinates, by the members. Is it clear, people? The other one is primarily towards achieving a good interpersonal relationship with the members. Okay, and attaining a position of personal prominence. So according to the Fielder, he has been set two major styles of the leadership. What are these two major styles of the leadership? One is task oriented, another one is that achieving a good interpersonal relationship with the pupil. Okay, so here it is that a favorableness of a situation was defined by the Fiedler as the degree to which a given situation, okay, enables a leader to exert influence over a group, to measure the leadership styles and determine whether a leader is the chiefly task oriented or he used an unusual testing technique. He based his findings on two particular the sources. Is it clear? So what he has done is that to measure this, to measure the leadership styles and to determine, okay, he wanted to analyze the leadership styles here. So he wanted to determine whether a leader is a cheaply task oriented or not. Is it clear? He is only concentrating on the task. Okay, so to analyze that, he has done one testing. Okay, so he has done this testing based on the two sources. Okay, first source, that is source on the least preferred co-worker, that is LPC. So this is the first source. Based on that, he is going to get the data, he is going to analyze, that is scores on the least preferred co-worker, LPC scale. So these are ratings here made by the people in a group as to those with whom they would least like to work. Okay, say for example, in a group is there, a group of members are going to be working. So in that, everyone is going to put a marks over there, that is scaling will be there. Okay, whether they wanted to work with that particular person or not. This is ratings here made by the people in a group as to those with whom they would least like to work. Is it clear? So this is, in this way, he is going to get information about the employees who are working in that particular the group. Okay, whether the other members are wanted to work with that the persons, or in this way he is going to collecting the data, that is the people in a group has to give the ratings, that is to whom, okay, that is to whom they would least like to work. Okay, ಯಾರು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಅಂಥವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಜೋಡಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛಪಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ದೇ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ಸ್. Based on the ratings, here he is going to identify. Okay, now scores on the assumed similarity between the opposites. So that is ASO scale. This is the ratings here, which is based on the degree to which leaders see the group members. Okay, so how the leaders are going to see the group members, based on that they are going to make a the scaling, that is the degree to which leaders see the group members to be like themselves. Okay, and assumption that people will like the best. Okay, and work best with those who are seen as most like themselves. Okay, these are the two, the the sources here. Based on these the two particular sources, okay, he wanted to measure the leadership styles and to determine whether the leader is a chiefly task oriented or not. Okay, so today here the LPC scale is the most commonly used in the research here. In developing this scale, Fedler asked respondents to identify the traits of a person with whom they could work least well. Okay, and respondents described the person by rating 16 items on a scale of attributes such as the following: pleasant to the unpleasant. Okay, pleasant to the unpleasant. So see here, this is a pleasant to the unpleasant. Okay, so in this way here the 16 items are there on the scale. Another one, so top one here it is that pleasant, here it is the 4 points there, and after that you are moving towards the unpleasant. Here rejecting and accepting. Okay, rejecting and accepting. On the basis of his studies with this particular method, okay, people who rated their co-workers high, okay, were those who derived major satisfaction from the successful in the interpersonal relations. People who rated their least preferred worker, okay, so that is in unfavorable terms, were seen as the deriving their major satisfaction from the task performance. Okay, so at the last the Fiedler came to one conclusion here of his particular the research or the theory. Okay, the leadership performance depend as much on the organization as it depends on the leader's own attributes. Okay, so this is the conclusion here which it has been drawn. So you just please go through this. Okay, so the next one here, I just wanted to conclude the last one, that is the path goal approach to the leadership effectiveness. Okay, so as we are running out of time, I just wanted to conclude the last one here. Okay, so this is the last one approach to uh, uh, the that is the path goal theory suggests that the main function of the leader is to clarify and set the goals with the subordinates. Okay, help them find the best path for achieving the goals and remove the obstacles. So this is what you call it as a path goal approach. Okay, what is the main function of the leader here? The main function of the leader is to, he has to clarify the goals, he has to set the goals with the subordinates. The leader should help them to find what is the best way or the best path that the subordinates to achieve the goals and remove the obstacles. So this is the main aim of this particular the theory. Okay, so this is the main function of the leader. So some of the situational factors are there. There is the characteristics of the subordinates, such as their what are the needs, self confidence, and what are the abilities. Okay, you should know what is the work environment, including the components of the task, what is the reward system, and the relationship you are going to maintain with the co-workers. Okay, so these are all the additional the things here. Okay, so other factors which are also going to be contributing to the effective leadership. Okay, so now here you are having that leaders behavior is categorized into 4 groups. Okay, so here it is that leader behavior is categorized into the 4 groups here. One is a participative leader, allow the subordinates to influence the decision of their supervisors and can result in increased motivation. Instrumental leadership will be there. Okay, so gives the subordinates rather specific guidelines and clarifies what is expected of them. Okay, this includes aspect of planning, organizing, coordinating, controlling by the leaders. Okay, and next one here it is that uh, achievement oriented leadership. Okay, achievement oriented leadership involves setting the challenging goals, seeking the improvement of performances, and having a confidence that subordinates will achieve high goals. Okay, so this is, you just see it here, that is a path goal approach to leadership effectiveness. Leader behavior will be there, so that is dependent upon the characteristics of the subordinates and the working environment, and it's also depend on the functions of the leader. Okay, so which the behavior has to motivate the subordinates, and then you are going to get an effective organization. Is it clear? So this is the path goal approach to the leadership effectiveness. So this completes this particular, the last one, the chapter on a leadership. Okay, thank you very much.